Good morning. It is Sunday, August 27th. Left the house at 8:30 this morning, trying to get out here and beat the heat. Haven't been able to film in a while. Didn't have stuff to film. Then when I did have it, couldn't get to the range. And Friday night and Saturday of this weekend, they were closed for a match. So Sunday morning, I figured I'd get here early before it gets hot and before the competition shooters who seem to like to shoot a lot the next day show up again. And sure enough, there's already folks here. I want to go over what I'm filming today, as well as some other updates. Starting things off with what's been filmed today, 2 Springfields and a never heard of it. Thanks to our patrons, we've got the Springfield Prodigy. I went for the 4 1/4 inch because I like the Bull Armory 4 1/4 inch so much. Thought it'd be interesting to experience this side by side with that. Yes, I know that the influencers have beat this thing into the ground, but haven't seen many third-party reviews. So I'm going to provide that at the request of the patrons who also afforded us the pistol. Thank you for that. While I was grabbing that, I'm actually curious about the Springfield Echelon. Like you, many of you, I was horrendously turned off by the marketing campaign. It wasn't as big as Springfield has done in the past, but it was still 2 days of nothing but Echelon influencers in my feed. Excuse me, got the inhaler for asthma. It gives me a sticky throat. So it's either don't breathe or breathe and have sticky throat. Now on those influencers, I know a lot of those guys, I consider a lot of them to be friends. You just have to keep in mind that many of them are trying to make a living doing this. And so for them, getting the jump on and having those day one clicks can make the difference between paying the bills that month and not paying the bills, whether or not they're paid by the manufacturer, Springfield in this case. There's also the YouTube revenue, all their affiliate links, things like that. So that's why when there are launches like that, you see a big flood of things. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're shills. It just means that they're trying to earn a buck. Can't fault them for it. It still was kind of annoying that the feed was nothing but Echelons for 2 days. Especially when, at least in my opinion, I wasn't satisfied by many of the reviews I saw. There were very few that told me the things I wanted to know. And when you guys see the tabletop for this, you'll learn some things that everyone seemed to have omitted. But this is a gun that I bought outright, commercial, from a vendor. So you're getting the full story. The third one is, thanks to a viewer, something I had never heard of and kind of a mystery. This is the Ermox Xfire. It is a Glock magazine fed aluminum frame striker fired gun out of Turkey that smells a bit like mildew. I'd never heard of Ermox, and as you guys know, this channel's roots were on affordable guns out of Turkey. That's been one of the mainstays through now 1,300 videos, and so I'm pretty familiar with the manufacturers there. This is not a Glock clone. It has some Glock similarities, but is not a clone at all. I consider it to be its own design, maybe some shared elements from multiple manufacturers, as you tend to get out of Turkey. But you'll see in the tabletop, it's really beautifully made. Really nice pistol. Never heard of the manufacturer before. They're imported by PW Arms in Redmond, Washington, which added extra intrigue because I thought PW Arms went out of business a couple years ago. They were part of the big fight for 7N6. If you've never heard of PW Arms, they are famous for their imports. They used to bring in a lot of submachine gun kits out of Europe, a lot of World War II era stuff. They brought in some Mosins, and they brought in a lot of ammo. Now, even though they're a relative neighbor to us, I've reached out to them a couple times in the past and never had a reply. I wanted to go up there, just get familiar with them, maybe talk about their business and let folks know, because I like supporting local companies. And it was like off into the ether. Never got a response from phone calls or emails. Like I said, I thought they were gone, and yet here's this relatively modern pistol imported by them, optics ready. You've got a rail, aluminum frame. It's got a really nice feel to it. Comes with a couple sets of grips, fiber optic sights, and I picked this up for $350, which is dirt cheap. Which also makes me think, is this a blowout? Was this like 200 were imported or 500 were imported, and then they gave up, and so they're just blowing them out. I don't know. It's likely to be something that will have zero support, but as you guys know, I like the oddballs. The fourth gun I'm filming today I actually can't show you until October, because for it I am going to be one of the initial reviewers. As with all videos on this channel, completely unpaid, the manufacturer reached out to me because I had done coverage of related products in the past and said, hey, I like the way that you did this. Would you be willing to try out something new we've got, so that just like with the automotive industry and every other industry, when the thing launches, people can find third-party reviews. So they were nice enough to send one in August, giving me a full month worth of time with it before it gets released. I'm pretty excited about it. It's a model that, or it's fashioned after a classic firearm that I wasn't a huge fan of. We've seen some redos of it that kind of were hit and miss. This one, haven't shot it yet, but this one seems to be really nicely done. I think it's going to be a hit, so I'm excited about that. Other bit of news, we've got the Guardian Conference coming up in Oklahoma City. I've posted about that over on gbgunsdepot.com. Considering that, according to both YouTube and our website analytics, a lot of our viewers are in Texas, I figured there'd be lots of folks joining us. Surprised at how many aren't. I understand the expense of travel and everything. We heard about this back in January, and so I've been saving for it since then. But coming out of Oregon to Oklahoma City, flying Frontier and Alaska, managed to get tickets for $178 round trip, which is totally affordable. I think Oklahoma City's a nice place to host an event when the weather's right, simply because it's in the middle of the country, easy to get to. I think registration is still open for that. Head on over to the depot and you'll see the details for it. We're not making any money off of that. This just appears to be a great, well-rounded education of armed firearms, unarmed, knife, OC, trauma medical, legal considerations. It's everything that the armed citizen needs to know, all wrapped into a 3-day weekend, which to me sounds just perfect. I've been to great training for each of those things individually, but getting it all mixed into one weekend is pretty cool. The course costs $750, which is surprisingly inexpensive. There are 2-day courses out there that cost $2,000 or more. So 3 days for $750, covering all these things, bringing in experts from all these fields. I think that's a pretty cool deal. Last bit of update is on the You Pick Teya shoots. After, I think it was 68 votes or so total that came into that, which I appreciate. I mean, she hasn't been to the range since January, so it's been a while. She filmed when we visited Grand Power in May, of course, but regular videos, it's been a long time. We took the 24 or so guns that she had missed on the channel. She narrowed them down to 5 and then said, hey, show these to the audience, have them pick 3 and I'll shoot those. So she's coming back. The 3 that won the votes were the Bull Armory Axe full size, the Polish V's 100M, and the Strike 1 Speed. All big guns. So interesting that those were the picks. There were some compacts in there and they just didn't get the votes. Not sure when we're going to pull that out. She's had a lot of family stuff to take care of recently, but we'll film that as soon as we can. And I know she's going to want to get to the range soon because we got the Guardian Conference next month. Before it gets too hot, I'm going to get set up and get out there. Thank you all for 8+ years of support, and I'll see you on the range.